Members of the House, violence isn't just physical. Violence comes from an empty stomach, but you have no more money to buy food because immigrants have taken away your jobs. Violence comes from anxiety over the future of your children because you do not know if you will be able to send them to college. I think that for far too long, the political establishment has enacted acts of violence against 1/3 of people in America and around the world. We have taken away their jobs, their livelihoods, and their dignity. And our Team Affirmative wants to take away their voices too. We do not stand for that. Let us look at the two words that emerged at the end of this debate and understand how exactly Team Affirmative's world was oppressive and chilly. In the world of Team Affirmative, they do not understand what is happening in politics. They do not understand of how the centrist consensus has been created ever since Blair and Clinton. How ever since that consensus was created, millions of people around the world have not had any politician to vote for or to support who represents their true views. They said, but why can't the person just be right-wing and not right-wing populist? Because the point is that we told you right from first, the structural incentives for people to remain in the center, of how the structural incentives means that if you're slightly to the right of the center, you can capture all the voters on the right, and therefore there is no incentive to move further to the right once this consensus has been created. And that is why we don't actually know where they're drawing the line. What exactly is the line between a right-wing person who is not that racist and a right-wing populist who is a bit more racist but represents different views? Where exactly do they draw the line? I would suggest that if their main harm is minorities, or just that they have to err on the side of caution. They have to take away a huge swath of views that legitimately represent what these individuals stand for. And to be clear, in Team Affirmative's world, it is not only about people running for office. It is about your ability to express your deeply held beliefs, to express your discontent with a political elite that has neglected you, to show that you are disgusted that they have left you behind. So it is not about just running for office. Don't let the third speaker misrepresent our case. In the world of Team Affirmative, they stand for expression, but not too much, just so you can't cause violence. But then we told them that's a pretty draconian world. Many people call other things many other people's names. There are many acts that cause violence in the world today. On their side, they have subjective criteria in the world of Team Affirmative that allow governments to abuse it. They say, but you have laws on your side too, so it's a bit different. No, I would suggest the difference is that on our side, we are willing to err on the side of free speech. Whereas on your side, you told us very clearly that in Team England's world, they are going to err on the side of caution because minorities are the priority in this debate. We think that on their side, they exercise a chilling effect on discourse. But you know what? If their problem is about minorities, I think they are harmed in the world of Team England. Because in my substantive, I told you very clearly about the moderating effect. Now, they just give a one-line assertion back in third speaker that, it's when they come into power. No. I told you about that structural incentives that these individuals have to moderate and how you disempower the people who take away the racist and anti-Semitic rhetoric that you don't like. So in the world of Team Affirmative, that happens even more. So let us escape the world of Team Affirmative and go to the world of Team Opposition. The world of Team Opposition was very clear on our stance. We believe that these individuals need a voice. They need someone to stand up for them and they need someone to be there to represent their views. We understood that sometimes unpalatable language is the only way for these individuals to express their views because it expresses the color, the tone, the intensity, and the beliefs they have. Analysis we gave from first, not responded to in all these speakers, and it will be a bit too late if they try to respond in reply. In the world of opposition, we understood that we are prosecuting violent acts, and therefore that is not part of the debate. We understood that the true victims here are the individuals who have been left behind. I want all of you to ask yourselves, why do you debate? I think all of us debate because we believe in what we do. We believe in the power of words, we believe in the power of discourse, we believe in the power of speech. But this is a power that we should not just keep to ourselves. This is a power that we should give to people who we do not agree with, people who have been left behind, and for whom speech is the one way they can reclaim their dignity. We understood on Team Opposition that silence is oppression. We are very proud to oppose.
The opposition requires to vote on 4 minutes or 7 seconds. And now, to conclude the case for the proposition and the debate as a whole, please welcome Edward Prezi.
Good. The reason side opposition lost this debate is that I've said some dodgy stuff in my time, but Lewis and Fish pointed out time and time again, and I stopped saying that stuff. But nobody tells Donald or Duterte that saying that Mexicans are rapists or that you can grab women by whatever is unacceptable. And in fact, when he says it, when he gets cheers, when he takes votes from legitimate politicians, he not only poisons democracy, but he makes people feel afraid, he makes people feel worthless, and he violates their rights on a fundamental level. Two questions when adjudicating this debate. First, legitimacy. Second of all, outcomes to the public. On legitimacy, the proposition for us went like this. We said that there existed a balance, and if the existence of one group led to the fundamental abuse of another, that was unacceptable. But they said, oh, but these people don't actually feel fear, because, they retweet things the whole time. We said, is that a joke? No, guys, you're right. Women don't feel fear when they are terrified of being raped by an army that Duterte says is legitimate. Muslim men and women in the United States don't feel fear when they see on their screens, night after night, people and families just like theirs being beaten in the streets in the aftermath of Trump's election. But they came back and said, we can prosecute for these crimes. We pointed out not only that we already prosecute for these crimes, and racial hatred still happens, but second of all, that is after the fact. If a group leads to abuse, irrespective of whether you then prosecute that abuse, that group is illegitimate. But they then said, you constrict the fundamental rights of individuals to access democracy. We had three responses here. We said first, that is factually inaccurate. If you look at the early debates between Cruz and Rubio, they are talking about exactly the issues you discussed. They're talking about tighter immigration controls. They're talking about how we distribute welfare to the most vulnerable. But second of all, we took them at their best. We said, okay, why don't you have individuals stepping in to replace these people? Because Macron's party is only 1 year old. Why would you not step into the void? And they said, crucially, the language that these people use is what means they are the only people that can do it. We asked them in a POI, why do Mexicans have to be characterized as rapists for us to have a discussion about immigration? Now, the fact that they could not reply to that, and they could not tell you fundamentally why that language of abuse and that language of intimidation is so essential, is part and parcel of the reason they lost today's debate. The third thing we put into this was we said, this is contingent insofar as there's no point having, your representation is not functional if that representation does not bring anything for you. And that's the point at which the fact that they did not engage with our first speaker's analysis about broad but shallow coalitions that operate under a veneer of legitimacy, that trick people into thinking that they're being represented but are not, is so problematic. But we said, okay, you want to talk about democracy and rights? Let's talk about the fundamental abuse of the rights of everyone else in a democracy to make fair and free democratic choices and how that is undermined. And if you check your notes, I think you'll find they did not respond to 4 minutes of analysis from our second speaker. Problematic, to say the least. Second area of this debate, outcomes for the public. A proposition line went as follows. In our first speech, in our second argument, we told you that it is harder to address the issues that they claim to care about because you spread people so thin across this coalition. And we told you that factually, this is not happening. Policies are being passed like the Muslim ban, policies are being passed like banning trans people from the army, and the fact that 28%, only 28% of the United States public continues to support Trump is indicative of the fact that he does not have the tools to empower people and give them what they want. They did not respond to this argument at any stage, but they ran their own principle about representation. We asked you a fundamental question. Is representation meaningful if that person does not want to do what you want them to do? And for all the arguments they threw out in their second speech, and they dropped about chilling effects, about less creditable news sources. By the way, what is a less creditable news source than Breitbart? They could not engage with the core tenet of this debate. That was how do we provide for people issues that they actually need. And the last thing they threw out, right at the end in their third speech, is these people will be encouraged to moderate. Because yeah, you're right, Trump has really moderated himself since he got into power. He stopped saying all these horrific things, he stopped banning Muslims from countries, he stopped cracking down on people, he stopped cutting welfare to fundamentally the most vulnerable. You're right, Duterte hasn't encouraged his army to go out and rape women. Oh wait, that is the status quo, that is the reality they had to defend this debate, and that is why they lost.
The proposition requires speakers spend 4 minutes 10 seconds.